Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Solange Altman. I'm the Immigration Services Coordinator for El Concilio. And in addition to that, I have a private immigration law practice in Modesto. I've been practicing immigration law for more than 22 years. I wish I could be there with you today, but I'm in Laval, France, which is Modesto's sister city, and I really feel bad I can't be there having Italian food with you at La Famiglia Bistro, so next time. Anyway, I've been asked to talk to you about facts and myths about immigration laws because immigration has become such a hot topic in the election, and so let's talk about some of the truths. So our current immigration laws are indeed broken and need to be fixed. And why do we say that the system is broken? In 2011, it was estimated that there were 11.5 million unauthorized immigrants living in the United States. There are about 200,000 unauthorized immigrants in the San Joaquin Valley counties. 39,000 of them live in Stanislaus County and about 55,000 in San Joaquin. A lot of people, when they hear that there are people that are undocumented, immediately comment, why don't these people just get in line? Why can't they just become legal like my family did? And so let me talk a little bit about the process. People essentially immigrate to the United States in three ways. Either they come on a business visa, they come on some sort of a family visa, or they receive some sort of a humanitarian visa. Let's talk about the numbers that are available in each of those categories. We have about 140,000 visas that are available for foreign workers each year for the entire United States. And insofar as humanitarian visas, in 2012, there were about 87,000 persons who received visas as refugees or asylees, and about another 10,000 were granted U visas because they were crime victims. In addition to that, there are about 480,000 people who received family-sponsored visas. Now, with family-sponsored visas are the way that most of the people in our area immigrate. There is no one country that can receive more than 7% of those 480,000, which is 47,250 visas in a single year. So that means most of the people who are in our area from Mexico can't receive more than those 47,250 visas in a year. Well, here's the issue. In 2012, there were some 1.3 million family members of people who are lawful permanent residents or United States citizens who were from Mexico who were applying for visas so that they could get status. So in essence, because only 47,250 of them received visas, we have 1.2 million that are in line waiting because visas are not available. So, and of those people who've been waiting in line for visas, there are people from Mexico who've been waiting more than 21 years in line waiting for a visa. So people ask, so why do people jump the line and come in illegally? Well, it isn't that they jump the line, they're in line. It's just that the line is so long they get frustrated and they want to be with their families, and so that's why they come illegally. And people criticize people who jump the line saying, they're not following the rule of law. Well, when people are trying to unify their families and essentially the lines are this long, they're forced to make a choice. Do I fulfill my responsibilities as a parent and bring my children here and support them, or do I follow this law that doesn't allow me to reunify with them? And many people choose to fulfill their obligations as a parent rather than do what they're supposed to do under immigration laws. And some might say that that's a bad choice, some might disagree. One of the things that people often say is, these people who are illegal, they're on welfare, they don't pay taxes, they just come to take advantage of the system. So another myth that needs to be addressed is, do unauthorized immigrants pay taxes? So the thing is, most unauthorized immigrants do pay taxes, contrary to what many think. contrary to what Donald Trump said recently. According to the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, they pay about $12 billion to state and local tax coffers. About a third of the people who are here who are undocumented are homeowners, and they pay property taxes. About 50% pay income taxes, and about 75% pay into Social Security. The chief actuary for Social Security estimates that over the past 10 years, unauthorized immigrants have paid over $100 billion in Social Security taxes, or about $13 billion a year. And the thing is, as long as people are undocumented, even though they have paid into the Social Security system, they will never have the right to receive Social Security benefits, because one of the requirements to get Social Security is you must prove that you're here lawfully. So we have all these people who are here who are undocumented. So what do we do with them? Some people are saying we should just deport them all. So could we do that? Could we deport them all? Well, we have something under the Constitution that provides due process even to people who are unlawful immigrants. And in order to provide people with due process, that means their cases would have to go through immigration court. In 2013, there were about 357,000 immigration court cases that were pending. The average case took about 18 months to be heard, but the waits are much longer now. We could deport them, that's the other option. In 2010, 476,000 people were actually deported. President Obama has deported more people than any other president. When he deported these 476,000 in 2010, that was a 9-fold increase compared to what George Bush did when he was president 20 years ago. So to deport 11.5 million would require a significant increase in immigration courts and judges. And the thing is, while people are waiting for a hearing to go before an immigration judge, they are kept in detention until they're deported, which is very expensive. The cost to forcibly remove some 10 million immigrants has been estimated to be about $21 billion a year. So if we are serious about deporting everyone, it's going to be extremely expensive. And it's not going to be quick because people are going to be in detention while they're waiting for hearings. Now, has Congress done anything to facilitate the process so that people who are eligible for a family employment visa can immigrate more easily? And the answer to that is no. Actually, changes in the law that Congress have made have actually further glutted the system. And let me give you an example. In 1997, Congress passed something called the Illegal Immigrant Reform and Immigrant Responsibility Act. We refer to that as IRA. One of the things that it did was it made it much more difficult for someone who had entered the United States illegally to immigrate through their 21-year-old U.S. citizen child who has a right to immigrate, his or her parent. Congress believed that people were coming to the United States to have babies. And so in the hope that when that child turned 21, they would be able to get status for their parents. And the truth of the matter is people do not come here to have anchor babies. The main principal reason that immigrants come to the United States is to work. They want to work to help their families in Mexico who might be struggling. They come to work because they want a better life. They come to work because American employers need them. They can't find people that they need to do the labor that they have here. So let me go back to this how does this work when a 21-year-old's trying to immigrate their parent? Well, one way someone who entered illegally can get legal status is that they have a spouse or a parent who is a citizen or has a green card in order to apply for something called the 10-year bar. What's the 10-year bar? This is one of those changes that Congress made in 97. And what it says is if you've been living here illegally for more than a year and you leave the United States, you can't come back for 10 years unless you ask for a waiver, a pardon, saying, forgive me for having lived there illegally for more than a year. But only certain people are eligible to get that waiver, that pardon. You have to show that you have a U.S. citizen spouse or a parent. So if someone's trying to immigrate through their 21-year-old child, they're never going to be able to complete the process because they can't qualify for the waiver, the pardon, if they only have a U.S. citizen child who is petitioning for them. They'll have to show that they have a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident parent or spouse in order to qualify for the waiver. So we have millions of people who, before these changes in the law, would have been able to have immigrated through their 21-year-old children, and now they can't do that. And so this has impacted probably about 4 million people who presently are undocumented, but for this one provision in the law, they would be able to get status. So you'd think that Congress would try to fix that in order to help more people get legal, but that's not been the case. The last time we had any attempt at immigration reform was in 2014 when the Senate passed Senate Bill 744, and it would have created a immigration path to citizenship and would have brought about immigration reform for many people, millions of people. A companion bill was proposed in the House of Representatives, but Speaker John Boehner refused to allow that bill to go to a vote of the members of Congress. So there was no vote on that bill, and because the House of Representatives didn't act within a year, the Senate bill died and we had no immigration reform. Following that, President Obama tried to act on his own by issuing orders under his powers of executive action. And what he did is in November of 2014, he announced that he wanted to do a program that would have allowed people who had been living here from 2010 forward, who were persons with good moral character, who had children who were citizens or lawful permanent residents, to apply for something called, the program was going to be called DAPA, Deferred Action for Parents of Parent Arrivals or Parents of U.S. Citizens. And what happened is, following his announcement of that, the state of Texas filed a lawsuit to stop the program from going forward. And the first court decision went against the president and stopped the program from going forward. The case proceeded through the courts and ultimately ended at the U.S. Supreme Court. And when it reached the U.S. Supreme Court, the court was split 4-4 because we don't have a ninth judge at the present time. And so because the Supreme Court was not able to render a decision on the legality of the president doing this program, what happened was the lower court decision stands. So DAPA has not gone forward. It's frozen, and it's ultimately not going to be final until there's a ninth judge at the Supreme Court level. So that's a little bit about the facts and myths of immigration. I wish I was there in Modesto, so if any of you had questions, I could answer them now. And I hope if you found this interesting, you can ask me back and I can talk to you sometime in the future. Have bon appetit, as the French would say.